Favorite Sarah moment over the last 5 years, and I'll begin. I have many. I was on the vestry when the search committee began its work. I was there the day that they presented my first Sarah moment was, we found a rector. We found a priest in charge, rector, whatever, she became the rector. First of all, it's a woman. Okay, but boy can she preach. Boy can she. She hit another home run today. And she can sing. And boy, did I believe it. I don't know if I ever believed it that way before, but I was hooked. I was hooked on Sarah from that moment on. Love you, Sarah. Thank you. Anyone else? Favorite Sarah moment? Come up here and share with us. Nope. No? Did I hear a no down there from the junior warden?
One of my first favorite moments with Sarah was one of my first. I was on the search committee. When you're on a search committee, you interview lots of people. I don't want to talk louder. Okay. I know. So, when you're on a search committee, you interview lots of people. Some good, not so good. But when we interviewed Sarah, one of the things that struck me, because one of my first jobs here was as a sacristan, is we couldn't get her out of the sacristy. She wanted to touch everything. She wanted to know the history of everything. She wanted to know how the altar was put together. This for me was a tremendous sign that this was the right person. Someone who wanted to spend that much time in the foundations of what we do would get what we did. And that was my moment.
I thought you were going to tell the Dolly Parton story. What's the Dolly Parton story? Oh my goodness. Okay, good. That was a much better story.
It was my privilege to be the senior warden when we were searching for Sarah. It was my privilege to be the one to make the telephone call when the vestry said, yes, we want Sarah. I rather expected her to say, hell yes, I want to come, but she just did a resounding yes. And it was my privilege to serve with her as subdeacon for her first service. Sarah and I also share a love of bones. I think I'm responsible for that. And yes. Yeah. You don't know bones. Oh dear. I was not one who was anti-woman, but I know some who were. And she turned them around 100%. She has been not only our priest, but she has been our friend. And I think we are very lucky to be able to count her as one of our friends. I know I feel that way.
Keep them coming. All right, last chance. Okay, Levi. Whoop.
Paper, rock, scissors.
No.
See if I can get it unfurled. Okay. At the outset, you should know that Jacob and I, and maybe a few other people, have privately referred to Sarah as Mophie for years. Mophie being short for Mother Fisher. Only after she turned in her letter of resignation did I find the courage to divulge to her in a text, wincing, that we called her Mophie. The first thing I noticed about Mophie back in 2007 was the giant floral foot tattoo she had as her profile picture on Facebook, which we just saw in the slideshow. And I thought to myself, oh my God, what kind of a priest is this? Over the past 5 years, we've learned a lot about what kind of priest she is. She's the kind of priest who made it a goal when she came here to break bread with every family in the parish. She's the kind of priest who will, Nancy, back me up, always move the altar book and the elements, no matter how carefully you set the table. She's the kind of priest who gives you a panic attack when she tells you she's going to attend an ordination 2 hours before your wedding at the cathedral. Of course, she's also the kind of priest who shows up in plenty of time and delivers a fabulous sermon. She's the kind of priest who, when a parishioner dies on your wedding day, slips away quietly, says the litany at the time of death, and saves the sad news for the next day so that you can enjoy the celebration. She's the kind of priest who handles conflict well and keeps secrets well. Gossip is not her nature. If I had known this from the beginning, I might have made more confessions. She's the kind of priest who respects tradition but isn't afraid to change it where theology or prayer book or her own gut instinct counsels a change. She's the kind of priest who's not threatened by sharing the pulpit, even with a beloved former rector. She's the kind of priest who invites new people into ministry and empowers them to succeed. She's the kind of priest who isn't ashamed to cry during the recessional of a funeral for a parishioner with no family, while singing "Comfort, Comfort Ye My People" in Advent, while reading her resignation letter to the vestry. So what kind of priest is Sarah Fisher? A pretty darn good one. Sarah's greatest legacy to us, I think, and this I'm biased, is stewardship. When Sarah arrived, many were worried, either privately or publicly, that St. Peter's would close its doors in 4 to 5 years. But she didn't surrender to that mentality of scarcity. With the stewardship ministry team, she emphasized that stewardship was more than just fundraising and more than just something that happens in October. Stewardship was about our relationship to God and our response to His prodigal generosity. As a result of this new mindset and the spiritual growth that it has fostered, Sarah is leaving us with 25% more pledgers and 41% more dollars pledged than we had in 2009. The deficit shrinks every year, and instead of talking about closing our doors or paying our bills, we're talking more and more about expanding our ministries to reach more and more people with the love and good news of Jesus. None of this would have been possible without Sarah K. Fisher. And one of the greatest ways I think we can continue to honor her legacy is to continue giving boldly of our time and our treasure to carry out God's work in this place. So, let me sum it up by saying there are two people inside of me, a very mature man, a respectable man, and then a passive-aggressive little boy. So, first, on behalf of the mature man, Sarah, let me say from the bottom of my heart that I thank you for your leadership and your love. I wish you every happiness, and I hope it won't be long before you are pastoring a parish again, because I think it's where you belong and where God wants you. But on behalf of that passive-aggressive little boy, let me just say, I hope for at least an hour a day for 6 months or so, you are miserable. I hope when you get stuck in traffic on your way to work that you think about that apartment 3 blocks from church. And when the holidays come without snow or Arctic winds, I hope you feel you've been cheated out of a proper Christmas. In short, I hope you by God miss us as much as we're going to miss you.
I've spent a lot of time over the last week trying to think of something very clever and funny to say about Sarah's leaving. Some story or vignette that would capture the essence of Sarah, and I have totally failed. And I failed for 2 reasons. One reason is that it's not possible. To paraphrase the end of the Gospel of Mark, if all the stories about Sarah were written down, the world could not contain the books they could be written in. And the other reason I failed is because I'm very sad, and I think a lot of us are sad. We have a human expression, which is when we're deeply moved, to say my heart is too full for speech. And it's at times like this that we need the services of a poet. And Sarah herself is a very accomplished poet, and it's perhaps because of that she so embraced the cultivators that she talked about in her sermon today. I sometimes get credit for the cultivators, and that's not actually fair. It was my wife's idea, which is not here, but public. my wife's idea. It was inspired by John Daly in his period as our interim. But it was under Sarah that the cultivator started, and we gave our first public performances. And that idea actually was Linda Montanero's, not mine. However, we have performed for the time being a number of times at Christmas. And as luck would have it, I have a copy here. But this is a 1945 first edition, which I've had for 30 odd years, and it's been around the world with me, and I think it's time we went to Georgia with Sarah. Now, what you may not know is that for the time being, with the original publication, there are actually two works in here. One is, for the time being, the Christmas Oratorio, and the other one is The Sea in the Mirror, which is a commentary by Auden on Shakespeare's The Tempest. And I've always wanted to perform it, but it's actually pretty unperformable. However, I'm not going to perform it, but what I am going to do is, because sometimes one needs a poet to put into words for being articulate, who are too moved. I'll just read you briefly the very last bit, which is Prospero saying goodbye to Ariel. Now our partnership is dissolved. I feel so peculiar, as if I'd been on drunk since I was born, and suddenly now, and for the first time, am cold sober. With all my unanswered wishes and unwashed days stacked up all around my life, as if through the ages I had dreamed about some tremendous journey I was taking, sketching imaginary landscapes, chasms and cities, cold walls, hot spaces, wild mouths, defeated backs, jotting down fictional notes on secrets overheard in theatres and privies, banks and mountain inns. And now, in my old age, I wake, and this journey really exists, and I have actually to take it inch by inch, alone and on foot, without a cent in my pocket, through a universe where time is not foreshortened, no animals talk, and there is neither floating nor playing. When I am safely home, oceans away in Millen, and realise once and for all I shall never see you again, over there, maybe, it won't seem quite so dreadful, not to be interesting anymore, but an old man just like other old men, with eyes that water easily in the wind and a head that nods in the sunshine, forgetful, maladroit, a little grubby, and to like it. Can I learn to suffer without saying something ironic or funny on suffering? I never suspected the way of truth was a way of silence, where affectionate chat is but a robber's ambush, and even good music in shocking taste, and you, of course, never told me. If I peg away at it honestly every moment and have luck, perhaps by the time death pounces his stumping question, I shall be getting to know the difference between moonshine and daylight. I see you starting to fidget. I forgot. To you that doesn't matter. My dear, here comes Gonzalo with a solemn face to fetch me. Oh, Ariel, Ariel, how I shall miss you. Enjoy your element. Goodbye. This is from me and from Catherine and from everyone who has watched or taken part in or supported the Cultivators.
Our artist in residence, John Daly, has asked to be the final speaker in this part of the program, but I want to give anyone else that wants to come up a chance to say something. All right, up. Okay.
I didn't prepare anything today because, much like your time here, my time just got away from me. I couldn't believe that everything went by so fast. I just wanted to say that this place has changed me. You have changed me, sir. Levi and I started coming to church here just a few months before you got here. This was the first church I've ever gone to. In fact, when I started attending church and taking communion, I was not baptized. I was so embarrassed of the fact that I had started taking communion before baptism, I ran down to my family church down in southern Indiana and had a baptism at my grandfather's request. It was only later that I was told by Sarah, after I told her that story in confidence, that it wasn't really that big a deal, that it would have been lovely to have it here, but at the time I was concerned deeply about it. But thank you, Sarah, for the time here, for the change that you have brought to me and to the people of this place. I love you very much, and the best wishes for you always.
Okay, this is a much larger audience than I was planning on. I started here 4 years ago, and some of you who know me I'm a little nervous. And it was wonderful to come to a place where no one knew me, and I got the biggest, "Hi, how are you?" And I'm like, "Don't know about you." And then I know, "Oh, crap." And every Sunday, it's a welcome of, "I'm so glad to see you here, and to be appreciated, and to know that I'm loved." And I'm going to shout before I start doing the ugly cry.
Gotta move this down. It's made here for me. First Sarah moment. I was in deacon school. Yeah, we were going to be getting a new rector. I wasn't happy about that at all. I wanted Father Dunkerley to stay with his little English accent. That's what I wanted for church. I got asked to come to Anthony Vaccaro's for dinner with the other clergy of the parish. It was Father Reed and the two deacons. I felt a little intimidated, even having been asked, because here I am, a lowly deacon student. We're talking, sitting around or standing around in the kitchen at Anthony's, and we knew that Sarah was going to come join us for dinner. All of a sudden, Sarah came running around the corner into the kitchen. And I thought, oh my God, it's the Vicar of Dibley. I am sure that it was the Vicar of Dibley. And I thought, because I was one of the ones that didn't want a woman, this is going to be okay. We've got our English connection. It's going to be the Vicar of Dibley. And you know what? In many ways, that's what it's been. It's also been like the story I told you, this friend of mine that we were on a board together, who said, "You're going to love Sarah, she's going to love you to death." And Sarah, you have loved us into a life that is unbelievable. This parish has changed so much in the 5 years that you have been here. And what I see right now, I see so many Vicar of Dibleys sitting out there right now. And we're going to go out in the community, and you know that you were the one that started us there. And stop moving everything around on the altar. The deacon sets it up.
Like Jacob, I didn't prepare anything either because everyone knows how much I hate being up here. So I would never think I would be standing on this side. I was thinking about the very first time with Sarah, and I also was one who did not want a woman. My idea was going to be a 35-year-old man that would be coming to be that age and do it. So at Sarah's first interview, I wasn't there. I couldn't be there to do it. So they're all telling me how great she was and how wonderful she was, and I thought, oh my God, who's convinced these people this how this works? So Marion suggested, she's like, Greg, calm down, calm down. So Nancy and I and Sarah went to Devon's seafood restaurant, and we had lunch together the first time we met her. We were there maybe 3 hours. I don't know, went on and went on and went on. And I went out just thinking she was going to be the absolute best person we could possibly be. So now I'm thinking to myself, now how do I change my opinion this quickly on everything that's been done. All the people have gone to me and said, you can't do this and it can't be done. I said, it's going to be okay, and it's going to be okay. So right before she got here, we had a flood. And Sarah and I worked on cleaning that up. And then we had boilers and we had pipe issues and we had this. And pretty soon we found out that we love this thing food and we did this. And we worked 5 years on the phone and worked with so many different things. But I will say my last ceremony. Yesterday when Ricardo and I were driving into the city and the skies turned black and it started to go, I said, dear God, please don't make our last day a flood and do it. So that prayer was answered. Tell me that was Sarah. So that was my last moment of Sarah. All the best to you.
Among all Sarah's other talents is singing. And Sarah, I think you sing the service so beautifully, and you demonstrated that again today. Music has been a great part of my life, and when I hear the service sung, it means so much more to me, and I thank you for that. And I also remember a couple of years ago at the gala, when Sarah decided she would sing a lovely song by Gershwin called The Man I Love. Any of you who were there remember, and she started out saying, someday he'll come along, the man I love, and she held up a picture of Jesus. And then the lyrics go on, we'll build a home for two, just he and I, and she held up a picture of St. Peter's. So I knew from that moment on she was continuing to be a good sport. There's a song from the 1930s, the lyrics of which I think are appropriate to this occasion. So I'd like to give that to you now. When I have sung my songs, I'll sing no more. 'Twould be a sacrilege to sing at another door. We've worked so hard to hold our dreams, just you and I. I could not share them all again. I'd rather die with just the thought that I had loved so well, so true, that I could never sing again, that I could never, never sing again, except to you. Thank you, Sarah.
Seeing as I'm relatively new to this parish, it's been an honor to have learned more about Sarah and her welcoming ways in the past few months. I thought back to how I met Sarah. It was actually at the little church down in Fullerton when they had their Taizé service. And Sarah made sure that there was plenty of food for people to eat. And I was like, okay, I gotta figure out where she is. I was like, okay, she's not down there. There's that little church, but I was like, nah, it's not visible. Looked at the website, there's pictures of her all over it. But it's like, when I came here back in May to do my first visit, it's like, she made sure that I felt welcome. And I'm like, never been to an Episcopal church that's never made me feel welcome. And your smile will be missed in Lakeview. Thank you, Sarah.
Last chance. Artist and resident John Dow. Or very.
Isn't it great that so many people wanted to speak? I think that says a lot about how empowered this congregation feels. First, I bring one from Todd, my husband, the chancellor of the diocese. And I told him what we were doing today, and he said, oh, I've got one. He said, I first met Sarah when she was a teller of elections for a convention when we elected Bishop Lee as our diocesan bishop. And so they're back in the teller room, which is historically a little bit of a chaotic environment. And Todd said, I found Sarah calm and professional. And he found that remarkable enough to come home and tell me about it. Calm and professional. In January, I'll have been a priest for 30 years, and I've never had so much fun or felt so like what I was doing was worth doing as I have being artist in residence of this parish. You've given me back a sense of vocation twice. Once in 2007 when I was interim and was really feeling discouraged about the possibility of Christian community. And those months with you gave the church back to me. And this year and a half as artist in residence has given my writing back to me and said that there is a place for it in the church and not just outside of it. And I wouldn't be artist in residence if Sarah didn't say, let's do it. So thank you, Sarah. This piece was not commissioned for the occasion, but it is, I guess, an unsolicited manuscript. It's a poem I've written for Sarah called The Correct Way to Say Y'all. I was born in Park Ridge. Therefore, I cannot now or ever say y'all in the correct way. When I say y'all, I sound like I'm from Switzerland, the northern part. Is y'all singular or plural? Maybe it's transnumeric or interdigit. It's definitely queer. Maybe it deserves its own parade. Sarah was born in Georgia. Therefore, she can now and always say y'all in the correct way. If y'all parked in structure on Broadway, see one of our ushers, and they will be happy to validate your ticket. In our north-south country, y'all is a kind of shibboleth. That's the word the Hebrews used to suss out the Ephraimites and prevent them from crossing the River Jordan. The Ephraimites had already been defeated in battle by the Hebrews, and the survivors were just trying to get home. They were born in Park Ridge, not Georgia, so they couldn't say y'all or shibboleth. If they'd been able to say it correctly, they might have made it. Deep River, my home is over, Jordan. Deep River, Lord. I want to cross over into campground. In our south-north country, y'all is a kind of shibboleth. For everyone who knows how to say it correctly, it's the word that lets them know they've made it home, that their sojourn in a foreign land is ended. If this is your last time at St. Peter's, farewell. You have honored us with your presence. As we move with halting steps toward that city that is in unity with itself, where Hebrew and Ephraimite, north and south, Park Ridge and Georgia are not labels that separate, but gifts to bring to the gospel feast. We offer this valediction, however incorrectly. You all travel safe, with God, always.
One last thing to close the program. Pardon? So, of course, I was going to ask you to come up anyway, because this is something for you. You want to go? Okay.
I really just want to get up here again. They say it's like driving a race car. I said everything I really wanted to say in my sermon. As Levi mentioned, I'm a crier. I've learned to manage to not do it at weddings because I find it's not helpful when the presider is blubbering through the dearly beloveds. But yeah, today I've got tears. And not to worry, your petulant 4-year-old will know I'm going to be miserable tonight. You all honor me deeply with your words. And I'll simply say, that whatever good has been done here in these 5 years has been done because of you. That I have been able to be witness to, and a part of it has been a gift. But it's you. It's you and the Spirit working in and through you, being this most extraordinary church. So I'll simply say thanks, y'all. It's just, it's been a delight I couldn't have imagined. And I don't like saying goodbye. It hurts. Then sing. Yeah. But I think it's important to recognize that which is coming to an end, and that now we take on the new journey as friends, not as priest and pastor, but as friends. And there's a mighty fine guest ring in Decatur, Georgia, should you ever pass through that way.
Finally, as the saying goes, a little more practical expression of our love and affection, I'd like to present you with this small purse to help you with your moving expenses or whatever you want. God bless you. Thank you all for coming.
And y'all come back now.
Yeah, that's it.